Well, hi everybody. Welcome to our webinar here for today. This is Tim Voss with FinancialCyclesWeekly.com, and I'm glad you could join us here today. We've got a couple of things to adjust here on the computer, so bear with me for just a moment, and we'll see if we can get this up and running here. Let's see. I need to somewhere. Okay. Excellent. Now, I think we've got our chat box open here, so you should be able to see that. Let me see if I can add a message here. And if you see the message on your screen with the chat box, then please join in, and we'll go from there as well. So let's see here. We've got the camera off. We've got everything here. And if you're able to see this, add a hello or say hi to me, whatever, on the chat box there. We want to make sure everything is working well with this right now, because we want to try to make this session today as interactive as possible. And so I'm seeing a number of you that have logged in here with us, so I'm glad to see a crowd gathering. We're going to wait just a moment or two more to see if a few more folks join us. We want to welcome everybody. I'm seeing Tom and Mateo and Gary and Henry and Ruth and Rajesh. So welcome to all of you that are signing on now as we speak. So again, you do have the chat box should be showing up somewhere on your control panel there with your screen, depending on how you have things configured on your computer. So we want to make sure that you can get to that here. Let's see if I can. Okay, hi, Gary says hi. Hi, Gary. Glad you could join us here. So it looks like we're getting a little bit of two-way communication going. That's one of the concerns that we have here. Be able to make sure that we can all participate here. So I'm glad we've got everybody together for this. And what we're going to be doing here is trying to set up to share the screen here, if we can figure out how to do that. It's very interesting because, as you know, we announced here earlier that what we are working on with our program is we're not recording this today, and sometimes we do record our webinars, and we keep trying to tweak the technology and get a little bit more fluid with it as we move ahead. But our aim here today is to be able to share some key information with you. So what we're doing is, let's see if we can get this set up here for the beginning of this part of the program. We should be good with all of that. Okay, let's see now. All righty. And over here, there's a little button that says screen share. Let's try that. And we have here this screen right there. That's the one we want to use. All right. And now, with a little bit of luck, we maybe can get something on the screen that we can actually share here. Bear with me. We'll get this thing opened up here, right here. And I think this is what we're after at this point. There we go. Good. So what we're talking about here today, and what we are dealing with our time together today, is all about how to be a winner with the Astro Trading Advantage. And what we have decided to do here is do a little bit of work with analysis of the current situation in the markets. And we want to talk about some of the basic principles involved in Astro Trading. And I see from the list of registrants and the people that are plugging in here with us so far this evening, I recognize a number of your names, and I know that you've had some experience, with astro trading. You have been associated with some of our programs in the past and joined us for webinars, and I see some new names as well. So let me just begin very, very briefly here and introduce myself. I am Tim Boston, the editor and publisher of Financial Cycles Weekly Newsletter. We've been at this for a number of years now, really over 40 years in working with the markets and then actively working with the astrology of the market since about 1988. So we've gathered a lot of data. We've had a chance to put together some trading techniques and refine what we're doing with the markets over the years. We have had a very, very impressive and consistent track record with our model portfolio at Financial Cycles Weekly. So we work with that and try to improve on that performance. And of course, we have a weekly newsletter that reviews what's going on with the markets. And we've got a special program as well. We call our Gold Plus Elite membership program that is open to more active traders who want to kind of go the extra mile in learning about what's happening in the markets. So we have that program accessible as well. That includes the newsletter and weekly conference calls and monthly webinars. And there's a little extra edge there with specific instructions and viewpoints on trades, so that for those in that program who want to trade along, they can profit with our trading program as we do at the same time. So that's our Gold Plus Elite membership program here at Financial Cycles Weekly. We also have a number of training programs that we make available, because a big part of our mission here at Financial Cycles Weekly, and a big part of my personal mission with astro trading, is devoted toward education. What I want to see is more people who can get up to speed with astro trading and develop levels of competence that can really bring you the results that you're looking for in the markets. And what we've discovered is that we can, if we add the astro trading advantage to our approach to the markets, we do get an advantage. We can be more profitable and more consistent with our trades. And so that's really what we're all about here at Financial Cycles Weekly. Not only reviewing the markets on a current basis and trying to do forecasts and find suitable trades, but also a big commitment to training and educating astro traders. So that's one of the reasons we do webinars like this, is to begin to spread the word and to try to encourage you to take a look at it as well. So we've got a couple of questions here that have come in about the current status of the markets, and let's take a couple of minutes to talk about this situation that we're seeing in the markets. We forecast back in June, we anticipated seeing a trading top around the time of the summer solstice. We did in fact get that. We got a strong pullback with that trading top in about the third week in June, and then since that time have rallied and then began another pullback again this past week when we look at the equities markets as a whole. Of course, we put a lot of emphasis here at Financial Cycles Weekly on the equities markets in terms of what's happening with the U.S. Stock market. That's really our bias, since we're based in the U.S., but we do look at other markets around the world, and we have active students in our programs now from Australia and from South Africa and various places in Europe and really all over the globe. Folks have joined us with our program. So we like to be able to examine things on a global basis. But in looking at the S&P 500, this is exactly what I was talking about here. We've just seen this incipient double top pattern in place here, and that left peak that we're seeing in June was the high at the summer solstice. As I say, we did pull back pretty sharply after that, after a bit of basing action. Then we rallied back to that same level. The price level determined at the time of the summer solstice proved to be some very significant resistance for the S&P. And so from a purely technical standpoint, we can say that we are watching very, very closely this support level. We've drawn a blue line across the chart here for the S&P 500, and the support here is about 2040, 2045, somewhere in that range. And what we've seen here, of course, is in early July, about the 7th, 8th of July, we saw some support send this average back higher at that point. And then as we move back to the left, the last time that we really found support on this line was back in early March, about the 7th or 8th of March, somewhere in there, just prior to the spring equinox. So this is proven to be, from a technical standpoint, a pretty strong support zone. And it's an important one that we're watching from a lot of perspectives here. But as you can see, the big question in everybody's mind is, are we going to see a major crash coming out of this dynamic? We've had a number of successive down days in trading in the markets, and even though we were expecting a price pullback during this past week, it has been a bit more sustained and a bit more severe than many people were anticipating. So it has raised some concern with the S&P closing yesterday on Friday at 2079 and change. So we're getting back down toward that range where we had support at 2040. But from a technical standpoint, until and unless we violate this blue line, unless we trade below that support zone, we will not have confirmed the double top pattern. And if we do get trading below that point, then this is a very bearish indicator. We'd expect prices to go considerably lower than that. So right now, the jury's out a little bit on whether or not we're going to see a big crash coming out of this. What I suspect is that we'll see this support zone once again provide some support for the average. Would not be surprised to see it work its way back down to that level at about 2040, 2045, and then begin to consolidate at that level. Perhaps we'll see more of a lateral move rather than a strong bounce back upwards at that point. It remains to be seen. But unless and until we violate that to the downside, then we're not going to be seeing a confirmed a bearish indicator. So that's what we want to keep in mind here as we consider that. Now, as we look at the charts like this for the S&P, in this particular case, we've not put on the chart itself lots of the astrological indicators that we look at. We examine those on an ongoing basis in a great deal of detail here at financialcyclesweekly.com. A lot of the work that we do each week in our market analysis is literally going back and back testing each and every one of the planetary dynamics that are going on with the S&P to find out what's happened historically in the past. If we've got a Mars-Jupiter conjunction going on, for example, then we can go back and check the historical records and see when that same planetary alignment has occurred in the past. And then based on that, we can begin to find out the probability of a particular move in the markets the next time that happens. So that's a basis of a lot of the study that we do here, a lot of the action that we participate in with Financial Cycles Weekly. But what we have found is that if you learn how to really harness the power of the planets, you can get very, very big results with astro trading. So we do a lot of different models and a lot of different testing, a lot of work trying to figure out the relationships with the planets and the markets from a variety of perspectives. And we look at a variety of markets that way as well. For example, one of the markets that we're currently looking at here, and this is something we'll be publishing in the newsletter here. Let's see, I can hide this little bar there. Maybe we don't. Yeah. Okay, we can see that a little bit better there at the bottom of the screen. This is a chart for gold, and we have daily bars here with gold. And it's been very interesting because one of our members has presented some questions over the past week or two, saying, "Listen, you have gone bearish, put in a sell signal for gold back on the 5th of June, and it's been very remarkable, he said, because since then things have turned down very sharply. The question is, how did you know how to do that at that time? And so one of the things that we've looked at a good deal with gold over the past few years, we have found that the gold market has responded quite dramatically to the interactions of the sun and the trans-Neptunian factor Chronos. Now the sun moves pretty rapidly in terms of planetary positions. Chronos moves extraordinarily slowly. So on our chart here, what we have are these kind of diagonal green lines crossing the chart. Those are the positions of the sun. And as we go kind of through the middle there, you notice that one of those lines is a bit heavier than some of the others. That's a first harmonic sun line. And then we have the horizontal lines in purple or magenta there. It's those are representations of Chronos and the planetary positions of Chronos. And again, right through the middle of the chart, the thicker Chronos line is is the first harmonic one. So what we've done here is label these Chronos lines, or some of them anyway, and you can see that what we're doing with this chart are basically 8 harmonic projections here, which means that with the price of gold, we're going to find regular intervals that correspond with the positions of the sun and with Chronos that are going to give us guidance about the trading action in the stock. Now, as you can see, what has been going on here, and this chart goes back roughly to the first of the year of 2015. So what we're looking at for this year is primarily Chronos taking on most of the action. We've seen a couple of places where the sun line has defined a couple of short-term rallies for gold, but those have been very, very short-lived. We've had a very bearish tone overall for the market. And what has happened here is that we had taken on a bearish stance earlier in the year and reversed briefly to the long side there, and then went back to a sell signal on the 5th of June. Now, the interesting thing here, as we look at this first harmonic Chronos line, that one at 1178, is the position for gold at $1,178 an ounce. On the 5th of June, we had a couple of things that verified a sell signal for us at that point. That particular price bar that we've highlighted in red there for June 5th is what gave us the sell signal. That was on a Friday, and we closed that week below a predetermined level that we had said would give us our first confirming signal for switching to a bearish position in gold. So we got that price level and then put in our signal then at the end of the trading day on the 5th of June. The interesting thing, though, about that trading day for that specific price bar for gold was that the intraday high was at exactly at 1178. The high for the day was right on that first harmonic Chronos line, giving us an additional astrological confirming factor that said Chronos is going to play out very, very heavily at this point, and we can expect further prices, prices to go further to the downside. Because of that. We have that going on at the first harmonic. As you can see, there was a little bit of congestion along that price line, the first harmonic line for gold, for a couple of weeks, but we were pre-positioned then for that bearish bias. We only had 1 or 2 trading days that traded completely above that first harmonic Chronos line, but this was not enough to turn our signal to a buy signal at that point. So we stayed bearish, and what we have seen since then is gold move down to the 8th harmonic Chronos line, and then during this past week it has plunged even more, penetrating not only that 8th harmonic line but the 4th harmonic. It's now trading below the 4th harmonic line. It closed, let's see, at about 1085 and change. So that 4th harmonic Chronos line we're looking at there is at 1088. So where will we find a bottom to the gold market? Well, we're looking at several important price levels here. And what we are saying at this point is that we're going to put in a new signal so that if we trade above that eighth harmonic price line again, if we get that much of a bounce back above it, then we will revert to a buy signal at that point. So again, we're basing this on the Sun and Chronos positions in our analysis of gold. We've noted here at the bottom of the screen, the 16th harmonic Chronos line comes in at 1020.50, and that's an important price level. I'm not sure that we will go down that far. I do expect to see some support perhaps kicking in here with that 8th harmonic line at 1043. But we'll see if we break below that. And I noted this for the 16th harmonic, even though we don't have 16th harmonic price lines on this chart. We wanted to point this out because it can be a very important component here. And now the reason we note this is that based on Fibonacci ratios, if we get gold moving significantly below that 16th harmonic Chronos level at 1020.50, then this can become a very, very bearish indicator, and we would expect further support levels to fall after that, and we'll probably see gold trade well below $1,000 an ounce if that in fact happens. So that's kind of the stop of last resort, or support level of last resort there with gold. So again, what we're looking at here, we're playing it along with the markets. We're waiting for the market to respond, and as we position ourselves, we remain bearish for gold for the short term here based on what we're seeing. But at the same time, we use the planetary indicators to predetermine the price levels that we're interested in looking at and positioning ourselves in a trade. Now, we have a tool with astrology called the graphic ephemeris. This is a 45-degree graphic ephemeris for the entire year of 2015. And the squiggly lines across this chart show us the planetary positions during the course of the year. And we're interested here in seeing where things kind of build up for us. Now, we're here at the end of July, and we're not seeing a lot of extraordinary planetary action that we haven't already seen. The thing that catches my attention is over here toward the end of October as a fairly significant time frame with a potential turning point in the markets then. So we're going to be paying a lot of attention over the next month or two to some of these configurations that kick in here as we move farther into the year. As we get early into August, we'll have a solar eclipse and then a lunar eclipse toward the end of September. Excuse me, that solar eclipse, I said early August, it's early September that we're talking about. Then later in September, we'll have the lunar eclipse. The next new moon after the solar eclipse in early October is a key point that we're watching as a possible trigger of some of these planetary dynamics that come on pretty strongly here as we move into October and then in the first few trading days of November as well. So this is part of what we're looking at as we move through the trading year. We can use astrological tools like this to see at a glance what's going on with the markets here. So one of the things I'd mentioned, I think, in publicizing this event was that we wanted to give away a couple of free gifts for you, and I see we've got a pretty good group assembled here. So we wanted to reward those of you who showed up on time and actually were here for the kind of choppy start that we had to things. But we do have a couple of gifts if you want to take a moment to go online. We're going to leave these up. This page should be available for about the next 10 minutes. So you'll want to go ahead and plug in there. We'll kind of pause for a moment or two here to give you a minute to go ahead and log on and check that out. The two gifts are total value, we say here, of over $450. We have an ebook about Warren Buffett's use of astrology and trading strategies, and it's about a 50-60 page book there that I think you'll enjoy in terms of doing some research into the methodologies and the strategies that are implicit in Buffett's trading. And we we also have an offer. We mentioned earlier the Gold Plus Elite membership a program. We've got an offer there for a free trial of that membership program, so that you can be with us here for the next 6 weeks or so and check things out and see if that's something that you might want to be involved with us on a more ongoing basis. So take a minute and check out vibrationcode.com/2gifts, numeral 2 GIFTS, vibrationcode.com/2gifts. We'll get you to that. We won't repeat this later, so take a moment now to check that out or jot it down and say the page is supposed to stay up, I think, until about 5:40 Eastern time. I've got looks like about 12, 13 minutes longer that page should be available. But you might want to take a moment now and check that out when you get a chance to do so. So let's talk a little bit about some other dynamics that we have that we can use with horoscope analysis. And when we talk about the Astro Trading Advantage, we're looking here at a couple of tools that we use very consistently, and want to take a couple of minutes here to share those with you to give you an idea of some of the kinds of things that we do on an ongoing basis here as we analyze the markets. I mean, I think we made it clear here that we can begin to see the broad outline of what's going on with the markets, but we also like to look at individual trading opportunities. And one of the tools that we use for that is something called the first trade horoscope. Now, this is calculated from the date and the time of day that a stock was first traded on a public exchange, and there are a number of different charts that we use in financial astrology and in astro trading. And in this case, we want to be sure to distinguish between the founding date of this. And let's see. Okay, I've got a message here from Hakeem. Says page not found for gift. Let's see. Let's make sure that we. Let's see if I can back up here with this thing, maybe. Or not. Let me do that. Let's see. Okay, this is, make sure you go to vibrationcode.com/2gifts. And if you'll bear with me 1 second, I'll turn over to this other screen here and see if it does connect. It may have shut down the page early, but let me find out here. This computer beeping at me here. Okay, I'm not having any trouble with that link here, so if you give it another try there, Hakeem, then maybe we can see that that function here. Okay. And the HTTP, it's a :/ there. And most computers, if you leave off the HTTP, it will do that by default. Just try typing in vibrationcode.com/2gifts and see if that gets you there. If you continue to have problems with that, shoot me another message and we'll get back to you after the webinar and see if we can get you connected with that. So my apologies if you had any difficulty with that. And give it another try, it should work for you. So again, what we're talking about here are the first trade horoscopes, and we're calculating this on the basis of the time that a company is first traded on a public exchange, rather than when we have the founding of the company or the IPO date, or there are a number of other dates that we can look at. Now, as we look at first trade horoscopes, what we're interested in finding out about are, first of all, planetary patterns that can show up in the horoscope chart, and we are concerned with being able to identify those as one of the key factors involved. For example, this is a chart for the first trade of Caterpillar Company, trades under the symbol CAT. On the New York Stock Exchange, began trading here on December the 2nd in 1929 at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is the chart for Caterpillar, the first trade chart, and of course the company's been around for about 100 years here, so we've got a long history and a long history in the market. So it's very interesting to look at some of these older companies to see what works out for them in the current trading situations. But with this chart, one of the things that we're interested in is a very, very strong pattern that appears in the chart here. And in this case, it is a grand trine pattern, and we notice here that we have the conjunction down at the lower part of that triangle of the trans-Neptunian Hades at 6 degrees of Aries, along with Uranus at 7 degrees of Aries and Admetos at 8 degrees of Aries. The three of those ganging up together there to give a very, very strong point of emphasis. Over on the right, we have the trans-Neptunian factor Zeus at 9 degrees of Leo, and then over on the left here, upper left there, we've got the Sun at 9 degrees of Sagittarius and Mars at 10 degrees of Sagittarius, combining forces there. So we have a number of planets engaged in this grand trine pattern, and what it says is that all of this is happening in fire signs. It energizes the first trade chart. And also when we find planetary dynamics that impact one of these factors that we just mentioned in this first trade horoscope, then the others kind of come along for the ride as well. And it kind of gives us a different kind of perspective as we analyze what's going on with the stock for Caterpillar here. Now, and we also pay attention to what we would call sensitive points in an individual horoscope. So in this case, we're looking at another first trade horoscope. This is for Walmart. WMT is the trading symbol for Walmart. Began trading on, let's see, August 25th in 1972, 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, for this particular horoscope. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with astrology or looking at horoscope patterns, what we're trying to do here is give you just some of the salient features involved. Our aim is not to turn you into a total expert here during a webinar lasting an hour or so, but to give you kind of a taste of some of the things that we look at here. And with the first trade horoscope, one of the concerns that we have is what we call sensitive points. And with the sensitive points here in the chart, one of the things that we're concerned about is what we call the angles of the horoscope. And in this case, on the left, we've got the 4 arrows pointing to the angles of the chart. On the left, we have the eastern horizon, the ascendant. At the top of the chart, the midheaven. On the right-hand side, the descendant, and at the bottom of the chart wheel, the nadir or the IC, the emunchele of the horoscope. And these are key areas, so that when we find planetary transits lining up with these specific points, we want to be very, very concerned about them because they can give us some activation in terms of the trading dynamic itself, and that's something we want to be able to pay attention to. Now, as we look at all this happening with Walmart, one of the things that's striking about this chart is that for 3 of those 4 angles, we have here as well planets that are lined up very snugly with them. So on the left here, we've got the ascendant at 15 degrees of Libra, and Uranus is at 15 degrees of Libra, just rising. On the right-hand side, the descendant at 15 degrees of Aries. We have Chiron at 15 degrees of Aries. And then at the midheaven, we've got the midheaven at 18 degrees of Cancer, Venus at 16 and change of Cancer as well. So that becomes a very, very powerful point here as well. So what we look at then, in addition to all of these points, is we always pay attention to the sun in the first trade horoscope as well. And we'll often see impacts by planetary transit relative to the sun, and here we've highlighted the sun at 2 degrees of Virgo for Walmart, and it's a very interesting kind of configuration there. But again, as we see the activity relative to the first trade horoscope, there are certain things that are going to jump out at us, and we're going to pay extra attention to them. Now, with a chart like this, one of the things that we're concerned about as well is the kind of strength that various planets have within the chart. And there are all kinds of rules with astrology that enable us to make those determinations as to what is a strong position for a planet in terms of its sign location, in terms of how it functions with other factors within the horoscope. And in this case, what we're looking at here is a chart here for IBM. And here we've got a number of planets spread throughout the chart wheel. We would always look at these factors that we just mentioned, the midheaven at 22 of Capricorn, the IC at 22 of Cancer, the ascendant at 9 degrees Taurus, and the descendant at 9 degrees of Scorpio. The sun is at 24 of Aquarius here near the top of the chart wheel. But again, we're not seeing lots of strong planetary alignments with the angles of the chart, so we'll be paying attention to those angular positions. But based on our analysis of these planets in the chart, what we can do is kind of do a study of all of them and their various positions at signs of the zodiac and the relationships to each other within the chart. And we come to the conclusion then that the strongest factor in this chart is the planet Jupiter. Jupiter is in a sign that it's very, very happy in at 16 degrees of Sagittarius. And it just so happens here that Jupiter is in a tight conjunction with Mars. Jupiter's at 1602 of Sagittarius, Mars at 1632 of Sagittarius, exactly 1/2 of 1 degree apart from each other. And what we see then is that Jupiter also has some strong impacts on other things going on in the chart. We have a trine pattern, the green line down to the conjunction of Neptune and the trans-Neptunian Cupido at 18 degrees of Leo. And then in addition to that, we also have a square from this Jupiter-Mars conjunction over to Uranus at 16 degrees of Pisces. That's the red dotted line over there. So when we start to look at this point of planetary strength, not only is this a highly favored planet in terms of position in the zodiac, but it's also impacting things in the chart itself in a very, very significant way. So these are some of the kinds of things that we study as we look at these planetary dynamics. Now, this is an interesting thing here. It is a 90-degree dial. In this case, we're looking at IBM, the same chart we were just looking at. February 14th, 1924 was the founding date there. What we're seeing here, we've put the pointer on that Jupiter position, and we can see then what's going on with it in some pretty significant ways. Even though we did not see a lot of action with planets on the angles of the chart itself, as we look at this Jupiter position, and this is the red arrow over on the right-hand side here, it conjoins Uranus, and then it also pulls in Mars fairly tightly. We've seen that combination. But as we look down at the chart wheel, then we can see that there is an activation of the midpoint up near the top of the chart there of the Aries point, the 0 degrees of the cardinal signs, and that hits the midpoint of that with the lunar nodal axis. So this is a very, very significant factor in terms of having a broad-based impact on global affairs and getting bigger markets in general. Certainly IBM has been around a while and been very, very successful over the years. It's had its ups and downs, but it's certainly one of those companies that makes a big global impact. And then maybe even more interesting here is this other midpoint that gets activated down in the lower left quadrant of the chart there. We've got the MC, which is the midheaven, and AS, which is the ascendant. This Jupiter position activates the midpoint of the ascendant and the midheaven in a very, very precise way. So even though we don't see a planet lining up exactly situated on one of the angles of the chart, Jupiter is in fact activating an angle of the chart in a very, very important way. So that's what we mean with first trade charts. There are a number of things that we can look at in that regard. We don't want to belabor the point too much, but just to give you a feel for some of the tools that we can apply in astro trading. And this is what gives us the kind of advantage that gets these consistent results year after year after after year for us with our trading. We also spend a lot of time working with planetary price lines. Now, these are very, very interesting. The work of planetary price lines is based largely on the work that W.D. Gann originated, and we can look at some of the charts that he did, his trading charts, and observe his use of hand-drawn planetary price lines on those charts. Did a lot with that, and got some pretty good good results, obviously, with his trading. Now, of course, we have computer programs that will help us do the calculations as well. But the planetary price lines are calculated from the positions of key planets that we're studying the impact of on a particular stock or commodity, whatever we're interested in trading. And we look at these positions over time, and then we can see specific correspondences in the history of the stock or the futures contract that we're trading with particular prices relative to the positions of particular planets. Now, what we are doing here is using planetary price lines as a tool for identifying what's going on with the planets. What kind of alignments do we have whenever there are points of key reversals or gaps in trading, and something significant happening in the price history. Now, we had the example earlier when we were looking at the chart for gold, and we showed there the planetary price lines for the sun and for Chronos in the 8th harmonic. That's an example of what we mean by this, and we can then begin to see how highs and lows in that trading chart correspond to the action, with the planetary price lines. So, if possible, what we're doing is trying to confirm our selections of planetary price lines with significant planetary positions that are also in the first trade horoscope. So if we can combine the two, we have an extra level of certainty. It gives us an incredible leverage with our trading, and it can really advance things for us enormously. And so what we're doing then is using planetary price lines to forecast for the future significant levels of support and resistance, and then we do our trading and base our market assumptions accordingly after we've analyzed something and discovered what planetary price lines apply. Then we can kind of go from there. So this is a chart for IBM. Since we've been talking about IBM here, this chart is a couple of months old, but it gives us, I think, an example of some of the trading patterns that we can look at. And in this case, what we're trying to do is figure out where there's some particular action going on. We have a high in this particular price chart, and a note that right after that high, there was a gap downward. So there's a pretty significant event going on there. We have a much larger gap a little later on, but at that particular point in the history of IBM, it had moved up to a high and then gap lower. So we know something happened pretty sharply at that point. Now, with the software that we use in doing this kind of analysis, we can identify then what was going on around that particular time. And that gap occurred on the 21st, I think, of April of 2014. And we can see here, with that Sunday on the 20th, a number of planetary alignments, one of which here is a square between Jupiter and Uranus of 90 degrees. Now, this should catch our attention here. Remember that when we looked at the first trade horoscope for IBM, we noted that Jupiter was a very, very important planet, and it was in a square, a 90-degree angle to Uranus in the first trade horoscope, so close, in fact, to an exact square that when we put it on the 90-degree dial, the two planets showed up exactly at the same spot at that red arrow on that 90-degree dial. So this is the kind of thing that we're looking at. We see this confirming dynamic in the market action then that matches what we've seen in the first trade horoscope. So then as we look at IBM, we can identify that factor. We can then point out an additional trading high. In this case, there wasn't the gap immediately afterwards, but it did mark a pretty sharp decline after this trading high that occurred in this case on the 25th of September in 2014. 14. And so we have our list here of planetary dynamics. And look at this. Once again, it is a Jupiter-Uranus configuration, the 120 degrees. Now, the 90-degree angle is the fourth harmonic angle. The 120 is the third harmonic dynamic. And so we find that the two of these are both expressions of what we would call the 12th harmonic. That is to say, if we divide the circle of 360 degrees into 12 equal slices, we get 30-degree increments, and 3 times 30 is 90, 4 times 30 is 120. So that's the commonality then in the 12th harmonic of the 90-degree angle between Jupiter and Uranus, and when we saw the gap, and then when we saw the trading high, the trine was also a 12th harmonic alignment in the two. So what we can do then is calculate planetary price lines for Jupiter and for Uranus based on that configuration. These are 12th harmonic planetary price lines, okay? And in this case, the brown lines are for Uranus, and we see that hitting the close on the gap over on the left, and then hitting that high exactly as well. The blue lines in this case are the positions of Jupiter. And when we have these places where they cross, we get significant points in the trading dynamic with IBM, the 12th harmonic here. But we can take this actually a step farther here, and again, we're not trying to get into too much depth along the way, but we want to point out how powerful some of these dynamics are when we begin to understand and apply the tools of astro trading. We can get pretty amazing results with them. The 24th harmonic is actually a subharmonic of the 12th harmonic. And we mentioned the 24th harmonic here because it was one of those planetary harmonics that W.D. Gann gave a lot of attention to. And he did a wheel of 24, and we have a number of configurations in which we study Gann's work and understand the importance of the 24th harmonic. So all we have to do then, if we've got our 12th harmonic chart set up, we just add additional lines in between the ones we already have, and we can break things down into the 24th harmonic. Now, in this case, you can begin to see very, very strongly how often we have the correspondences between the meeting points of Jupiter and Uranus and significant turning points in the price of the stock. We can also begin to forecast then what we would expect to happen as future such alignments occur. So, you know, this is a very, very powerful set of tools that we have at our disposal. If we use the planetary price lines to forecast significant zones of support and resistance, and then base our trades accordingly, and especially if we get that level of correspondence with the first trade horoscopes at the same time, we have a very, very powerful tool for our analysis. So what we've done here, as we've shared this so far today, is taken a look at some of the tools we use to analyze the markets as a whole, and also to look at specific trading dynamics for an individual equity. In this case, we can do the same thing with other kinds of trading entities, contracts of various sorts and what have you. But essentially, the rules apply pretty much uniformly there, and in every case, what we're concerned about are two components of what we call the trading triad. We've got the lower corner here of the trading triad, the ability to analyze the markets, and then we need to be able to figure out trade setups as well in order to know basically the overriding trend of what's going on with the market and what we anticipate there gives us our underlying bias for our trading. Then as we look at specific trade analysis, we can discover the opportunities that we can take advantage of. So that's something that we definitely want to combine. But the third component in the trading triad is one that should not be overlooked, and that is the trader. And the trader is that all-important part of what happens in the markets, and that part is you, and so, or me, if I'm the one doing the trade here. We bring our own individuality and our own biases and our own skills and our own prejudices and our own ability to botch things up into the markets with us every day that we trade. So even though we can get the analysis correct on the market as a whole, even though we can begin to identify very potentially profitable trading opportunities, we still need to be able to put ourselves into perspective and understand ourselves as traders. And this, I think, is probably the most neglected part of understanding trading in general, and certainly in understanding astro trading. It is a key component that we have to pay attention to. Someone has said once that trading is kind of like psychological brain surgery, where you have to figure out yourself at a depth level and kind of dig into what's going on with you in order to understand yourself as a trader. And you have to be able to do that if you are going to be effective in the markets. We have to have all of the components of the trading triad in place. And so we look at all of them together. And that's one of the reasons I mentioned earlier that we have a variety of training programs, and our big point of focus here in recent months has been on developing more tools for the trader end of the equation here. We already have lots of tools in place for the market analysis and setting up trades. We've shared some of the tools and approaches that we use here. I'm talking about first trade horoscopes, the planetary price lines. There are other things that we apply to the markets, but we also have to have in place an understanding of ourselves as traders. And that's one of the reasons we have developed this big new program that we rolled out here a few weeks ago called Project Regulus. And Project Regulus is all about achieving astro trading mastery. And it is a unique program in terms of anything that we've been able to offer before. As I say, we just got this started here, and we've got a group of students involved in the program. It is a combination of three different factors, or really two main factors and one bonus, I guess we could say. The first component of Project Regulus is all about mastering trading by learning specific trading skills and astro trading skills, essentially there. And so we look at all three of the factors, the market, the trade, and the trader, of all those three components of the trading triad, and deal with all of them in a series of intensive astro trading training modules. And with the training modules, we have information that's presented online in a series of videos. There are downloadable components, workbooks, and things of that sort that we work with there. And we have a number of exercises, homework, and things that you can work with along the way. So what we understand is that we can't just do one quickie class and expect everybody to achieve mastery. So we have deliberately planned on an extended series of these training modules to last over a period of 1 year. So we're just kind of beginning the program now, and between now and August of next year, we'll continue to offer about 7 or 8 of these training modules that will cover a variety of areas in trading, in astro trading specifically. Along the way, what we understand is that we can provide lots of information. You can sit at home and watch the videos and work through the workbooks and do the different things and try to apply the concepts in the markets. And inevitably, there's going to come a time when there's an interruption to your schedule, or something's going to happen to get you distracted, or you're going to hit a place where you're stuck a little bit and don't understand something. And so we have to have a component in place to allow for some feedback, some follow-up, and most importantly of all, some accountability to make sure that we can apply what we learn in a training module in the real world of trading. And so this is what makes Project Regulus radically different here. In addition to the training programs and the publications that we have here at Financial Cycles Weekly, I've personally done a lot of coaching on a one-on-one basis with astro traders, and looked at trading experiences and helped them get better results from their trading. And what I've found is that if someone has a mentor, if there is a mentoring dynamic going on and some ongoing guidance and a level of expectation that says, we're going to talk once a week or once a month or whatever it is, then we begin to establish a pattern that allows for real learning to go on. And that's what we're after here when we talk about astro trading mastery. So what we have with Project Regulus then is a series of mentoring calls and we have one call every other week. Twice a month we get together, and we have these as group mentoring sessions. But with each call, any individual can ask as many questions as they like, and so it becomes a chance to get the kind of individual guidance and direction with your specific personal trading that is really quite a rare thing. Now, I want you to understand that when I work with clients on a one-on-one basis like this to provide the coaching services, the base fee there is $1,500 an hour for these sessions. And what we've found is that some of the sessions with the group mentoring calls with Project Regulus go well above that. I mean, we can take as much time as we need for each one of the calls to make sure that the individual questions get answered. So it is, certainly more than equivalent to what you would get from a $1,500 coaching session if you were doing it on a one-up basis like that. But what happens with the training or the mentoring calls is that you also get to listen to other people's questions and concerns, and you can begin to share your insights with them as well, so you can learn from each other and gain additional perspective on trading that you really can't get any other way. And it really has started to turn into a mutual support group with our calls there. So what we're doing then is having these calls, and what happens is that you get obviously the best benefit or the most benefit from the calls if you join them live and get that whole experience with them. But we do record the calls, and then we have a special website for Project Regulus. We maintain an archive of the call recordings so that if you happen to miss a call or you want to go back and review some of the things that we've talked about, you can simply play back those recordings or download an MP3 file, put it on your iPod or MP3 player, what have you, so that you can listen to it over and over again and get that reinforcement. By the way, when we talk about these training modules, we not only have the videos online and the downloads available, we also have the audio files going along with them that can be downloaded and listened to independently. We find that a lot of people like to do the review work while they're driving or on the treadmill or something like that, so it gives that extra reinforcement for the learning material there. So that's the comprehensive kind of approach that we're taking with Project Regulus, and it's interesting to see. And in fact, I mentioned the fact that we have these training modules. We at this point have just completed our first training module, and we'll be continuing to add more during the course of the year. This first module we've called Astro Trading and Your Personal Money Flow, and this is a very interesting program that we've developed as this initial training module as a part of Project Regulus, and it really could stand alone as a course in and of itself, and that's really our intention with these training modules, is to provide a complete course of instruction with them along the way. And in fact, with Astro Trading and Your Personal Money Flow, this has 26 videos that are a part of that particular training module, that component. And there's a lot of focus here on exactly what we were talking about a moment ago, with that emphasis on you as the trader and that part of the Astro Trading dynamic that's going on there. For you as a trader, it's important for you to understand what your purpose is in trading. Why do I want to succeed in the markets anyway? Well, what do I intend to do with the money that I make in the markets? And knowing the big why for yourself can be a very, very important factor in terms of sticking with the learning process as you move forward. So that's one of the reasons we include that and some work with core values to help you identify what's going on internally with you. And of course, we use astrological tools in doing some of that analysis as well. We talk about things like the sun-moon blend in your natal horoscope and how that can help you understand how to make better decisions in the markets and get the results that are best for you specifically, and that's part of what we're looking at. We also talk about the kinds of software that can help you the most. We showed you a few minutes ago when we were talking about first trade charts and planetary price lines, some of the software at work. So we discussed some of the programs that are available there and make some suggestions and provide some resources there in terms of connecting with a variety of choices that are available with software, and same way with some reading materials, some books are recommended. We spend some time with this training module discussing radiant thinking and ways of changing the way that you think in order to do better and more effective analysis with the markets. It's really quite remarkable stuff, and what we found is that the individuals who learn some of these basic tools of radiant thinking can open up a much stronger engagement with the markets and get much better results as they do so. A lot on money dynamics, of course. That's really the main focus here, is how to get the solid start in astro trading that will ensure profitability, that will kind of chart the course toward long-term mastery, and do so without losing a lot of money along the way. I mean, that's really what we're trying to avoid having happening. So really what we're focusing on with this particular component, this training module on astro trading and your personal money flow, is looking at the core concepts that can create astro trading mastery and the need to work with those and to assimilate those. We also review the tools, not only the software and the reading materials, but other tools as well that you need to have at your disposal in order to trade successfully. Talk about how to acquire the tools, how best to use them, and then the third big component there is dealing with the strategies that are most effective in getting you where you want to go with your trading as a part of that program. So as you can see, this whole program on astro trading and your personal money flow is quite comprehensive in and of itself, and it's just one of the components with the training modules in Project Regulus. Now, what we'll be doing is developing others and offering them, as I say, throughout the year. We'll be talking about things like trade management and how to manage your trading positions to maximize your profits along the way. We'll spend some time looking at cycle analysis and recognizing cycles in the markets with and without astrology, because that's an important part of understanding the flow of markets and the kinds of opportunities that are there. A good bit of emphasis on trading with eclipses, and I see eclipse trading techniques. These are really advanced techniques that we've developed over the years. We've spent a lot of years analyzing the impact of eclipses on the markets, and it's a very powerful tool to work with in trading. Of course, we look at markets on a global basis as well. It's very interesting to compare what's going on, as we were mentioning earlier, with the markets in Johannesburg versus London versus Sao Paulo, Brazil versus New York and Australia. So we have those differences that are there, and looking at the points of commonality in global markets can also help us understand the opportunities that are there for us. Of course, moon cycles are very important in astrological work with the markets. There's a good bit of emphasis on mastering the moon cycles and working with them in various ways, and the planetary harmonics that we were just discussing when we were showing those planetary price lines. We're looking at things here in the 12th harmonic or the 4th harmonic or the 24th harmonic. We can get different perspectives with that, and so that's a key part of the training modules as well. Then how to pick the best trades for you, very clear-cut procedures for doing filtering and making decisions about what you should keep in mind as presenting real opportunities, and then finding that unique match to you, so we get the match between the market, the trade, and you, the trader. So all these are just parts of the training modules that that we are dealing with Project Regulus. And as I say, with Project Regulus, in addition to that, what we are doing then is providing the mentoring calls. So we've got a total value of about $45,000. If you were to add up all the mentoring calls during the course of a year, you get to participate in 26 mentoring calls, and have about 7 or 8 of these training modules as well. So it becomes a pretty hefty value if you just put it in dollar terms, if you're going to get it all separately. Now, in addition to that, with our Project Regulus members, everyone who is a part of Project Regulus will be getting a ticket to a very special event that we're having next summer, in the summer of 2016. We're calling this the Heart of the Lion Astro Trading Symposium. And the aim there is to get some of the members of the program together on a face-to-face basis. And so this will be a conference in which we will work with some of the leading astro traders. We'll have some guests there, some presentations, but also the opportunity for you to meet other individuals, not only those who have been involved in Project Regulus, but we're going to open it up to other participants as well. Now, at this point, it looks like the price tag for the ticket is going to be at about $1,000, for that event. But all the Project Regulus members get a free ticket to attend this program, and I think you'll get the highest benefit if you've been in Project Regulus for a year and have an opportunity then to kind of hang out with some of the individuals that you've gotten to know through the mentoring calls along the way. So it's a very, very strong program. Now, as I say, we did officially launch this program a couple of weeks ago. We limited the capacity at that point to make sure that we could get some of the bugs out in the implementation and get the website working and all that. Our emphasis with this program is delivering lots of one-on-one attention and giving you the individual time and attention that gives you the best results here. So at this point, one of the reasons I wanted to mention this is the fact that we are now opening up this program to include 5 additional students in Project Regulus. Now, as I say, this is a comprehensive program. It involves a financial commitment as well as a time commitment. We anticipate spending a full year working toward the Astro Trading Mastery. There'll be lots of time involved in working with the training modules along the way, although they're all self-paced. The big commitment, I think, time-wise, is to get the maximum benefit from Project Regulus is being willing to join the mentoring calls on a regular basis and getting your questions answered and getting the feedback that goes along with that. So what we're doing then with this program is offering a couple of payment options. We have the option of making just one payment and saving the most money, and that's $49.97 for the entire year-long program. But we also understand that for many individuals, being able to have a payment plan is important. So we are doing it with a payment plan of monthly payments for 1 year, and which brings it down to just $437 a month. If you add all that up, you actually end up paying a little bit more, with the payment plan. So the question is, do you want to spread it out or be able to do it, a little bit more comfortably along the way? Now, in addition to that, this is Project Regulus. As I say, we just have 5 slots open for this, and we'll be introducing that on a little bit broader basis, inviting folks in, and we actually have a waiting list here of some individuals that are wanting to get into those slots. So we'll be letting them know about that as well. But we wanted to mention it here in the course of this webinar this evening, to give you the opportunity to take a look at it also. And at the same time, what we are doing is making available this first training module that we mentioned earlier, the Astro Trading and Your Personal Money Flow. As I say, this stands pretty much as a complete course in itself, although it's just a small fraction of what you can get with Project Regulus. Now, this program itself, with the 26 videos, is available separately for $9.97, and we also have a payment plan there as well. It's 3 payments. I think it's $347 a month, over a 3-month period, if you want to spread out payments on that program. So again, the aim here is not to turn this into a sales pitch per se, but to say this is available to you if you want to investigate a little bit more deeply. We encourage you to take a look at this. Now, if you decide that you want to get the individual program, just the Astro Trading and Your Personal Money Flow component, this is one of the components in Project Regulus. If you decide within 60 days that you would like to join the Project Regulus program as a whole, then you may do so, and what we will do is basically credit you with the purchase price of that individual component toward the overall tuition for the entire Project Regulus program. So don't hesitate if you want to kind of put a toe in the water and explore that a little bit. At any rate, we do have a special website set up here. Go to vibrationcode.com/go, and that should give you the information on the different alternatives that are available to you. Basically, we're looking at 4 different ways that you can join us with Project Regulus or a part of Project Regulus at this time. One would be the whole program for the one fee. Then we have the payment plan for the whole Project Regulus program, and then the individual component, either a one pay or a three payment program is that as well. So this is what we're looking at here as we talk about using the Astro Trading Advantage to give yourself more leverage in the markets. We wanted to give you a feel for some of the tools that we're using in the markets right now and how we're approaching some of these situations, and also give you some ideas about how you can expand that all-important component in the trading triad, which applies to you as the trader. So we definitely wanted to be able to share that with you as well. Now, we do have the line open here on the chat board for questions, and I see there are a number of you still left here, so that if there are questions, we'll be glad to address them. Just type them in here. We don't have two-way microphones for our session here, but at least we can handle that things that way. And certainly, if you're able to, if you have questions about the program or about anything that we discussed in this training here this evening, we'd like to be able to help you out with that as well. So, any questions here? Let's see. Okay, George is asking about the planetary price lines. Do you use the same lines? Okay, so George's question is, with planetary price lines, are you using the same planets with all the different markets that we look at? And the answer is definitely no. And this is one of the things that we look at here when we work with the planetary price lines, George, is that we are examining the trading history and looking at those key points in the trading history. As we saw with the chart for IBM, for example, we can see a time when there was a trading top and a price gap, and we try to examine what's going on at those specific times, and then looking at the various planetary dynamics that occurred at those times, and gives us a starting point then that we can use to find out whether we can see some correlations with planetary price lines. So we look at those factors, and again, this is part of what we cover in the training modules with Project Regulus. There's a lot of refinement on how to make those kinds of determinations. And as you get more experienced with it, then you can do it much more rapidly, much more fluidly. But these become incredibly powerful tools for our analysis of the markets and for our trading opportunities by applying these price lines. And one of the key factors here is the fact that they don't all happen at the same time or in the same way. We don't use the same planets, I should say, in looking at different markets, different components. So, for example, with gold, we were using the Sun and Chronos, and we were using Jupiter and Uranus for IBM. We find different combinations and different configurations depending on the markets that are of interest to you. So, and that's part of why we have the mentoring program as well as part of Project Regulus. If you're working with a specific trading situation and trying to figure out which planetary price lines are best for you to be applying there, that's certainly fair game for our discussions, and we can include the work with that to make sure that you can move ahead as rapidly as possible toward real astro trading mastery with the program. So good question, George. I hope did that answer it for you? Okay, anybody else here? Okay, Susan. Okay, so the question, Susan's question is about the payment plan. Okay, no, the overall cost. I mentioned the value of being at about $45,000, and we are not charging that for this course. We're giving a roughly a 90% discount with the regular tuition for Project Regulus. It's a very interesting thing here because the value is quite extraordinary in terms of everything that you receive with this program. Not only the training modules, and each one of those has the various components, the videos, the audios, the downloadable materials, but also the mentoring process is very, very significant, and that's what really adds the enormous value to you. If you were doing that independently, as I say, at $1,500 an hour, then that would add up very, very rapidly for you, and it can be for some individuals that's an inhibiting factor. Let's face that that kind of price level. Not that it's it's not worth it. I mean, it definitely has paid off, and I've got a number of students that I've worked with in the coaching program on a one-on-one basis, and after 6 months or so, typically they show remarkable results. But it does take a time commitment and a financial commitment. So what we try to do is minimize the financial commitment here with the mentoring component of Project Regulus, because we can do it on a group basis. Then we can bring the price down, and you get the added advantage not only of getting all the questions answered in the one-on-one interaction that you desire, through that program, but you have the added advantage of being able to connect with other people's questions and to see the coaching that goes for them as well, and it can help you refine your own approach. And then on top of that, of course, we have the recordings that are archived online on the website for Project Regulus that gives you, the ability to go back and review the material in greater detail and greater depth, and get even better results that way. So that's really an extraordinary part of the component. So to talk about it as a $1,500 an hour program of 26 sessions, adds up a lot in terms of the potential value, but actually it goes well beyond that, because it's really extraordinary. It goes much deeper than just what you would receive in the one-on-one interaction, and there's no limit to the one-on-one interaction you can get with these bi-weekly sessions with Project Regulus. So I'm sorry, I got a little bit off on a tangent there, Susan, with your question, but what we're looking at here is the ability then to to get all of this for a much lower price. The $49.97 covers the entire program, and if you make one payment for that, then it covers everything at once. And again, if you want to spread it out over 12 payments of $437 each, then that makes it much easier for some individuals to get engaged with the program. And as I say, it's a 12-month program, and so basically you pay as you go, with that option. In any case, with Project Regulus, you not only get the components online with the training modules, but also the mentoring calls and all that dynamic that we just described with that. And then remember as well that there are additional bonus materials for you to download, some free software that comes with the program, and also the ticket to the event coming up next summer. The Heart of the Lion Astro Trading Symposium is going to be really a remarkable opportunity to kind of learn about the cutting edge of what's going on in astro trading at that point. And we're always adding new ideas and new programs and new insights, but also the opportunity to meet other individuals with the same interest and be able to share ideas and insights with them. Oftentimes at conferences like that, the best stuff happens in the halls or at during the lunch break or in the bar after the day's meetings, whatever it is. This is sometimes the most significant connections that you make, and when we can actually learn the most. So it's an opportunity to do all of that, and that's a bonus for you as a member of Project Regulus. Of course, if you sign up at this point just for the program on astro trading and your personal money flow, that's a complete program unto itself, but it does not include, and I need to emphasize this, that program does not include, if you get it independently, any of the mentoring calls, the access to the archives of the mentoring calls, or the ticket to the event, the Heart of the Lion Astro Trading Symposium. So all of that, it comes only with the full membership to Project Regulus. That's why, as I mentioned earlier, if you choose to get just the program on astro trading and your personal money flow, and go that route, then and you decide later on, within the next 60 days, after that purchase, if you decide within 60 days that you want to join Project Regulus as a whole, we'll give you the opportunity to just pay the difference between what you paid for the first program and the overall fee for Project Regulus. So you're not out extra money if you decide you want to upgrade there. Basically is what we're looking at. But again, the big limitation at this point is that we have made room available for 5 more students in the Project Regulus program. We are trying to limit the size of the program fairly strongly at this point, simply because there is such a key reliance on the one-on-one interaction here, and we want to be sure that we can get you the mentoring that you need to be successful with the program. So that's what we're really trying to do there with that entire thing. So that, I think, covers, let's see, Dan had a question. I think we already answered that, Dan. If you've got other questions there, and it looks like it looks like Hakeem resolved his question about getting on with the gift. I hope that all of you who are still with us were able to connect with that. Again, we did not have a recording of this program, but I appreciate you sticking around and joining us for the whole program here. If there are other questions, go ahead and submit them at this point. We'll stay with you for another couple of minutes here before we shut things down, just to make sure that we have things taken care of in that regard. We want to make sure that we can get your questions answered and dealt with as best we can. And as I say, what we'll probably do is offer this program again over the next couple of days, so that if you want to do a repeat of it or get some more insights or more questions answered, that will give you an opportunity to do that. As far as the limitation goes on the sign up with the Project Regulus, we do just have the 5 slots open at this point. I see, well, make that 4. I see one of them has been taken here. I just happened to check this other screen here. So we welcome you to the program there, but if you'd like to join us with that, but that's pretty much on a first come, first served basis. We may be able to open up a 6th slot, but that's not guaranteed at this point. And so what we're looking at then is being able to kind of be able to provide that one-on-one attention that really does make the difference, I think, for your effectiveness at trading. So I'm not seeing other questions. I'm seeing a few people that are still with us here. So if Henry, you've got questions, let us know. Ruth and Jay Thomas is there, and I see Marianne and Hank, and let's see, Robert, and Jim, and there are a couple of other names here, Rajesh. If any of you do have questions, go ahead and plug them in with the dialogue there. And if you have not gotten your questions answered and want to discuss any things that we have dealt with here, please feel free to send me an email personally, tim@timboss.com, and I'll take the time to reply, and we'll see what we can do to get the information to you in the process. But at this point, it looks like everybody else is raising their hand, and I see a few people are leaving now. So if you do take time to go check out vibrationalcode.com/go, that will get you to the page that will give you the opportunity to take one of those remaining slots in Project Regulus. Hope you join us for that program, and if not, do consider the other program, which is just the component of Project Regulus, with that one component there. So we do want to talk with you all soon. Thanks again for joining us here this evening, and we're very, very glad to be able to share this time with you, and we'll plan on doing it again real soon. The more we use this technology, the better it gets, I think, in terms of our being able to handle the components of it. So let's see if we can get out of the full screen here thing. Maybe what we do is just shut it down. I don't know. Let's see if I hit escape here. This is the clunky part that I'm not sure exactly how this works here, but I think we can actually get out of the webinar now with a little bit of luck. Let's see. Somewhere here, perhaps. This looks like the page. Stop the broadcast. Okay, that's what we're going to do at this point. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us here this evening. So glad to have the time together. Hope you found this information useful, and hope you join us for Project Regulus and take advantage of some of the opportunities that we've got going on. Good night, everybody.